Hi, I'm Derek Mooney.
I'm Terry Garvey, and this is
Read Right Now.
This week we're coming to you from Dublin, and we're looking at the role of feedback in learning.
We'll be having a look at what feedback is, the different forms it takes, and how feedback can help you learn.
We'll also be looking at how important it is for you to see feedback as something that helps you.
As well as helping you learn, feedback can also help you identify your strengths and focus on your needs, something that's very useful in learning and when it comes to doing any job or activity.
We'll have hints to help you read a payslip, interpret signs and symbols in the workplace, and we'll have spelling tips on words ending in a shun sound, like action. Now, I'm off to the Gaiety School of Acting to look at the role of feedback in the world of drama and to meet someone special.
And I'm going to head indoors out of the rain here on Henrietta Street. I'm going into the St. Vincent's Trust, where I'm going to have a look at how feedback works in the learning environment. To get the most out of Read Right Now, you should get yourself a copy of the free Read Right Now workbook. All you have to do is pick up the phone and dial 1-800 20 20 65. It's got worksheets and activities to practice, as well as lots more tips and advice.
That's Elaine O'Dea. She's a first-year student here at the Gaiety School of Acting. For Elaine, feedback is very important. Has feedback been important on the course for you, Elaine?
Well, yeah, it plays a really important role in all of our classes. But sure, why don't you come to my next class and see for yourself?
Okay.
I'm happy, I'm sad.
But what is feedback? Well, it's all about getting the information that's essential to keep your efforts on track. Feedback has a key role to play in learning because it allows you to have a clear picture of your progress as you develop knowledge and skills.
You maybe don't feel you have the resources there to go even bigger, but I want you to. Go by one again, please.
Knowing whether what you've done or the approach you've taken is working or not, that's very important for you. And feedback also allows you to identify your needs and your strengths and weaknesses. If you're not getting feedback in learning, you could feel lost and lacking in direction. This would affect your motivation, and that in turn would affect how you learn.
We get feedback from our friends all the time. For example, let's say you cooked a meal for some friends and they didn't comment on it. Well, you would think that was rather strange, wouldn't you? And sometimes we even seek out feedback. We say, is this too salty, or maybe should I add another egg? And let's say you're learning a new technique. Well, that's when you need feedback and guidance from a tutor every step of the way. Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with these type of signs: no smoking and caution, hot surface. What we're going to do now is have a look at how to read signs in the workplace. Health and safety signs are found all around us and are the same everywhere in the European Union. Most don't contain any words so that people who speak different languages can understand them. Here are some you are probably familiar with: no smoking, caution, fire exit, wash your hands. Others may not be so recognisable unless your workplace requires them. Hard hats must be worn. Poisonous. Corrosive materials. It is important that you understand the correct meaning of the health and safety signs in your workplaces, as they may be warning you about a hazard. Have a look in the workbook on page 116 for some more examples of signs and their meanings.
In every learning session, it's very important to let your tutor know how you're feeling about what you're doing. This allows them to see how effective the learning sessions and materials are, and how they should be modified for the future. But it also allows you to feel in control of your learning, and for an adult learner, that's particularly important. Remember, feedback is a two-way process, whether it's between learner and tutor, between employer and employee, or between parent and child. Chris Griffin grew up in Cork City and has run 3 businesses successfully, in spite of having poor spelling skills. 2 years ago, she decided to go back to education to tackle her spelling difficulties.
Well, the attitude of my parents, especially my father, was that he educated the boys. The girls, he would educate the girls too if they wanted to, but we got no encouragement because the boys would have to get married and keep a family, where the girls would meet a husband and get married and their husband would keep them. He encouraged us all to have our own business. There was 15 in the family, there was 13 of us had our own businesses. So he gave us a grand start in life, if you put it that way. But education-wise, he wasn't a bit interested. But there was very few people in our time went on to school after 14. So we weren't an exception at all. Well, when I left school, I thought my standard of education was quite good. My reading was superb. In general, I was very good at everything. Everything I ever put my hands to, I was good at. But it was just that I just could not spell. And I thought there was no one would be able to teach me how to spell. I first became aware of it when I was 17. One of my mother's friends had a shop and she was having a baby and she sent me into the shop. And there was an awful lot of stuff for the cash and carry, and I couldn't write the words in it, and that's when I became very aware of it. Can I have a half pound of mushrooms, please? I felt inferior. I always kept it personal. No one ever knew how I felt. I just kept it to myself.
Feedback serves three main functions. It gives you specific information about your work, telling you where you need to improve or how you can repeat the things that you're doing well. It motivates you by showing you that, like the literacy students here at the St. Vincent's Trust Community Training Workshop, that you have made progress, and it gives you a sense of satisfaction, making you want to repeat that good performance.
Feedback can be general or specific. General feedback, like, you're doing very well, or you've made great progress. That's motivating, but it can lose its spark quickly if it's used too often. Specific feedback, on the other hand, is also necessary, as it points directly to performance. The Read Write Now free phone is designed around a two-way feedback system, from tutor to learner and from learner to tutor. For example, a learner might ring in with a question, maybe understanding a spelling rule, and the tutor will give specific feedback. Then the tutor could ask the learner for general feedback on how they're finding the Read Write Now series.
This is the office procedures training room where learners get hands-on experience of the office environment. And in here, like anywhere else, it's important for the learners to accept feedback, even if they don't always like what they're being told. They must think of the feedback giver as someone who has their best interests at heart. It's not a personal attack, it's just guidance that can be acted upon. Here they have to set aside their own pride and be prepared to be open. But just think of the ultimate benefits. It could lead to a good job and a weekly or monthly payslip. And speaking of which, here's tips on how to read a payslip. Many of the words on your payslip are shortened or abbreviated, and it's useful to understand what they mean. PRSI stands for Pay-Related Social Insurance. Most working people pay PRSI contributions, and these are deducted by your employer from your weekly or monthly pay. Your PRSI contributions entitle you to certain benefits, such as unemployment benefit or old age pensions, provided you have paid enough contributions. PPS is short for Personal Public Service, and one of these numbers is given to everyone who's been working or claiming benefit since 1979. It's an important number to know because it's your unique reference number for all your dealings with the public service, including social welfare, tax, education and health services. Your gross pay or gross income is the amount you earn before tax. PRSI or other deductions are taken from your wages. Net pay is the amount in your pay packet or bank account when all deductions have been taken from your wages. Sometimes you'll see the letters YTD. This is short for year to date. It tells you how much you've been paid in the year so far, or as in this case, how many PRSI contributions you have made. This heading, Tax Credits, on your payslip shows you the total amount of money you're allowed to earn before you have to pay income tax.
You don't have to accept feedback passively. Ask questions and make sure you understand what's being said.
Yeah, keep it straight. Everything's straight. Yeah.
If you feel upset or angry over what you're being told, take some time to consider what is being said rather than reacting immediately. Everybody needs direction. It's a very important part of learning.
and step, and step, and step. Now you move back.
Chris always thought that she wasn't able to learn how to spell, that something in her brain was stopping her. 2 years ago, she became aware that this mightn't be the case.
I was sitting here 2 years ago on a Monday night, and this programme came on, Read Right Now.
Chris, how do you feel about those words?
And I watched it for about 4 or 5 weeks after that, and I thought, what if they can teach people how to read and write? Sure, God, there's someone can teach me how to spell properly. I found that there was a literary group in the area, so I phoned them and I went up to them and they assessed me, and they found that I wasn't a bad speller at all, that it was just big words I couldn't spell, and they taught me how to break down your big words, which I never knew that's how you would spell a big word before.
Now, Chris, we have some long words here. Maybe if you'd write them down. The first one is sentence, and in each word there is a short word.
After about 3 weeks, I could see a difference in my spelling. It was like as if part of my brain was coming alive that I never even knew that was there before. But I got to a stage where I thought my spelling was very, very good in my eyes, and I felt I was ready to go elsewhere. So that's when I decided I'd go back to school then to do my VTech. VTech is part-time, it's 10 hours a week. And we do English, maths, computer, art and communications. Our tutor would tell us where we're going wrong, and if she didn't like our bit of work, she would also tell us that. And if we were good, she would praise us to the hills. Even if she didn't like it, she would make it positive for us.
Can I have a look at that there, Chris? Yeah, that's excellent. You know, I mean, there are words you're looking at every day, and I don't think you've a mistake there. That's great work.
Feedback is very rewarding, because if we didn't get good feedback, I don't think I'd be encouraged to go back into school anymore. But now at the moment I look forward to going to school.